Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Finnigan 40K. I couldn't wait until November. I'm going to start up my Crusade narrative campaign with my Cadian. They are the 555th Cadian Charlie Company. Their first battle is actually going to be a lead up to the Crimson Fist battle report that I recently posted on YouTube. It's going to be about 1,535 points of Tyranid, a lot of the same models we saw last time, versus a 995 point Cadian Crusade narrative. I'm going to go through each force. What I have is my lineup for my Cadians and kind of how I've strategized to put that together. The Tyranid models that they're facing are going to be coming at them again in waves. It's going to be a really cool battle setup. I'm going to have a roadway that's leading from a dig site, an oil dig site or Prometheum site, where they've actually found that new Tyranid bioform. It was kind of hidden away, or maybe it's ancient and it's just been discovered. So this is the group that was sent down to escort the new bioform to the Crimson Fist. Well, it's a science facility camp, and then the Crimson Fists drop down from space to protect it and extract it. The Crimson Fists did win that battle. It was super close. If you guys want to check that, it's the previous video before this one. And I knocked off a lot of rust with that battle, so I apologize in advance. My damage stuff was kind of all over the place. I was doing it as in rolling for damage, as opposed to once a wound is lost, you have to see how much damage is actually taken. So I'm going to tighten that up for this one. And I'm super excited to get this started. So I have a ton of really cool ideas going forward for the Crusade narrative. It's the first time I've used 10th edition Crusade. So we're going to kind of be going through it together, all the requisitioning points. Right off the bat, I'm not going to be using Crusade points. That's usually used if you're taking on other Crusade armies. So just to make sure that you're not like a 10-point Crusade force versus like a 1 point, it wouldn't be fair. So I'm going to make sure that that's not included in this, since it's just myself kind of rolling for both sides. The strategy is going to be there though for the Tyranid. I've built in some really cool stuff. I don't know if I'm going to cover that in this video, but this one was more to show you guys the forces, how I set up my Crusade forces. If you guys want to do the same thing, how you can go about doing that, the point breakdown, and kind of my strategy and models that I brought in, because a lot has changed from 9th edition to 10th edition. I know I mentioned in one of my first videos that the ordnance, battery artillery pieces are garbage now. So they roll in a 5+. They used to be a 4+. It was amazing when you had like bombast field guns going down range, and you had heavy las cannons. I may bring them in later because there's a few models that can buff them out, but they're not going to be my first force for requisitioning. I'm also going to be going through battle traits as people get experience, then also battle scars when units are lost. So in this one, I'm saving my 5 additional requisition points. So at the start of a crusade, you get 5 points right off the bat. Some people use that, or at least I did in the 9th edition, to purchase new models right off the start and put them into your force. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to save those points because it's a really good time to do it, since my squads won't have battle honors yet. So as they build experience, they get battle honors and they can get cool like artifacts and souped up armor and souped up weapons. It's an awesome way. It's almost like playing a video game, but on a tabletop, the way that Games Workshop has designed that. So it's really cool, and you guys are going to see like my Castellan model go from a guy with a power fist and a pistol to like having an artificer bolt pistol, and he's going to be like souped up with better weapon skills, better ballistic skills. My Commissar might get better armor, stuff like that. So it's going to be really cool to build and show you guys that. And there's going to be experience dealt out at the end of every battle. And with those points is what you can do to purchase battle honors. And then if a squad is lost again, it's battle scars. So that can slow them down. That can wreck their ability to shoot. Like sometimes you can't have a hero model attached to the unit to give a buff to them if they have a battle scar. So again, the reason I'm keeping those 5 requisition points is I can use them to bring to remove those battle scars to make sure that my Cadian are at full strength again for their second fight. I was going to do a Nurgle battle first, but I thought since we did the Crimson Fist, Uda Buddha Planet, Science Facility, this would be a great way to prequel to that. So again, alternate reality, if the Cadian don't win in this battle, that new bioform went to the scientific site, as you guys saw in the last video, and it was extracted. But I'm going to see it. My Cadian, like they're you and me in the year 40,000. They're regular men and women that are fighting just like insane beasts. And I'll show you guys the armies that I have in here, and also I'm going to bring up the Crusade documents for each force I have, and as I bring those up, I'll probably do some editing and some text just to help you guys out in where I'm talking about on the sheet so you don't get lost. And this again is a great way, like if you're just by yourself. My wife sometimes plays with me. She's not a huge fan of Warhammer. She's played a couple games. So when I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna play a game this weekend, you know, my buddies might be busy working, whatever it is. So I set up a Crusade Battle. I have my force ready to go, and you can kind of do some really cool, like, I don't know, manual, like customized battles. So it's pretty sweet. And again, this one's going to be a Cadian squad that is bringing that bioform through a roadway system in the jungle to that science facility in the last battle where the Crimson Fists defended and won the day. So we'll get to the forces. I'm also going to get to the documents for the Crusade, and we'll go through everything. 1,535 point Tyranid Army coming out in 6 different waves, mattering on the D6 roll, and then a 995 point Cadian Army. So I'll flip the camera around. I'm going to show you those squads, and then I'll probably bring up the cards as well to help you out in regards to what we're looking at. But here we go. Can't wait. I'm hoping to get the battle started tomorrow, and I'm super stoked because the stuff in the future, like I'm going to be doing one against the Genestealer Cultists, so I'm really stuck on Tyranid right now, I guess because of Space Marine 2, but the Genestealer Cultists are like, I don't want to say they're parasites, but they like get into societies, and they're the ones that bring the Tyranid hive fleets down on planets. So you'll have like, you know, a Necromunda city that's like a hive city, and you'll have Genestealer cultists that are within, but they look so much like humans. They actually kind of look like me. They're bald, but they have kind of ridges on their head. They get into like mating with humans, and then Genestealers are born, and it's them through the Patriarch that calls down these massive Tyranid swarms. So that's already happened on this planet. But my next battle that I'm probably going to do is going to be Genestealer Cultists versus my Cadian. The Cadian at that point too, hopefully if we win this one, we're going to have a lot of experience, be able to soup up my guys, maybe bring in some new squads, is going to be based around Black Hawk Down. So I'll explain that more way down the pipe. I always like to get into too much stuff at once, but I'm going to show you my forces for this battle. So this is Utabuda planet again, the Cadian 555th Charlie Company versus Tyranid. They're going to be coming out of the bush. There's going to be swarm rules, and there's going to be reaction time for Cadians. I've built in a whole bunch of cool dice rolls. I love to just build a narrative, and really, I don't follow the rules. Like, I'm going to follow the rules for the statistics and the rolls for the models. But in regards to morale, it doesn't exist in this battle. It never does in mine. I hate that rule. It takes so much time. So I remove that completely. And there's going to be like Cadian reaction if they roll a certain amount. Like I think it's 1, 2, 3 for my Tyranid, and then 4, 5, 6 for my Cadian. So like a Tyranid is going to jump out of the bush, and the Cadian won't be able to react if it's a certain roll, or if the Cadian roll a certain amount at the start, they're going to be able to react first. So it's going to be based off that. There's also going to be scatter dice that's included. So the direction of that dice is going to be where those Tyranid are coming in. If it rolls on a hit, it's going to be wherever I think is most strategic for the Tyranid. Like I'm going to be playing hard for the Tyranid just like I did last time. You kind of have to do both rolls. I'm rooting for my Cadian, but they might not take it. But yeah, the scatter dice is going to like point where that ambush is going to come from the Tyranid. And then if it's a hit, put it in front of the convoy, put it behind the convoy, wherever the weakest side of the convoy is. And then there's also the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler, which actually has the bioform in it being transported. And I got a couple crazy like heavy stubbers on there. I think I'm probably going to use rules. I don't know if the Cargo 8 has rules. I might have to check. I don't think so. But I'm probably going to use either like Orc Battle Wagon stats, not the weapons on it, but Orc Battle Wagon stats with like heavy stubber, Imperial Guard, Astra Militarum stats, or I'm going to maybe use an Orc Truck stats for it. So I'll figure that out when we get into the battle. But anyways, enough is enough. I'm hyper. I'm ready to go. I'll show you guys my Cadian force and then the Tyranid that they're going to be taking on during this crazy convoy mission into Utabuda science facility that leads into that previous battle, which is actually a future battle, if you get what I mean. So here we go. Thanks. All right, so here we go. This is my starting force for my Cadian 555th Charlie Company. That is just under 1,000 points of Astra Militarum. So they're a pretty good army. They were a lot better in 9th edition. They were kind of dumbed down a little bit for 10th. Tanks won't be rolling with that 3+ anymore. I believe it's a 4, but we'll get into that when we get into the stats. I'm also going to do the Crusade cards off to the side as I'm introducing each of these units, so you can see how that's built and the points for each and all that kind of stuff if you want to do this. I'm also breaking this video up, so the battle report is not going to be in this video because it would be way too long and a ton of time to render and upload. But we'll get into this and I'll show you guys my Cadian. So starting right off the bat, we're going to have Castellan Cage, who is my warlord for this group. I have a pug. There he is there. That's Homer. Homer, say hi. Homer. He's tired. He's too tired to react. But I have a little Homer model right there with, I'll zoom in on him. He's really cute. If it'll focus. Come on, camera. So there he is there. He's got like a little flak jacket on. Don't worry, I'm not going to have the Tyranid kill the dog. He's going to escape into the bush or something no matter what. So even if this, Cadian force is lost, my little pug model is going to survive. So what I've done here is, in 10th edition, you can attach a hero unit to a squad, which I think is actually pretty cool. So the Castellan was always an individual model before, and now he can actually buff out a unit. So when I cut to that card, I'll kind of explain what the Castellan can do, but he is attached to a unit I have named Shark Gar's Kasserkin. So this is a Kasserkin squad. They're actually not legal, so I wouldn't be able to use these guys in the battle because they have way too many special weapons. So in there I have a flamer, a plasma gun, plasma pistol, melta. I think I have two, they're not hotshot las guns, they're the other ones that are like a little bit stronger, they fire more rounds. And then I also have a las sniper rifle. So that las sniper rifle, or one of the two of the hotshot ballistas or whatever they're called, is actually going to be a las gun, just to keep this in rules. The Tyranid Force still outpoints these guys, but I'm going to do that. So that's Sharkgar's Kasserkin squad, led by Castellan Cage, and I'll get into that in a second in regards to what he can do. My other Kasserkin squad, so this is another 10-man Kasserkin squad, is being led by a Commissar. His name is Commissar Minamoon. And yeah, I have awesome names for it, guys. This is the Kasserkin Tiger squad. So I got these guys pretty recently. I want to do some cool yellow kind of tiger stripes on them. So I think it looks pretty sick. And it also keeps them very different from Sharkgars. So if I ever have them in my case, I can pull them out and put them back nice and easy. I'll probably keep doing that if I get more Kasserkin models, just different paint jobs. So in this squad here, we have a medic. He's going to actually be able to bring back some models. Or no, he gives them the 6+ invulnerable, I think, which is pretty sweet. There's a plasma gun in here. My sergeant has a hotshot las pistol and a chainsword. I have a melta gun, and I have a grenade launcher with one of those, I forget what they're called, ballista las guns or whatever. So that's a legit squad, and the Commissar also buffs them out. So I'm hoping that these guys are going to be pulling a lot of weight in this battle, because behind them I have my sections of Cadian. So I use 10-man Cadian squads for the start of this. So I have one section right here, which has grenade launcher and plasma gun. The sergeant has a auto-fed or a drum-fed auto gun. It's pretty weak, but it's got 2 attacks. I'm hoping he might be able to clip a few Hormagaunts with that. We'll see how that goes. In behind is section 2, which is another drum-fed auto gun. I'm not sure if the sheets coincide with this, but I have 4 sections on there, so the points are legit. And that is a grenade launcher and a flamer in that squad. The flamer is also going to be super important for the smaller, weaker models like Hormagaunts. And as I get further on, if I'm taking on Nurglings, things like that. 3 section is led by a sergeant with a las pistol and chainsword, and I have a melta gun and plasma gun. If you guys are fans of aliens, I have named the sergeant Sergeant Apone. So I'm hoping that he makes it through. He was in my last Crusade narratives as well, and he was very honored as well as his squad. So I'm hoping that they can keep that streak going. And then in the back is my 4th section. So this is a sergeant with bolt, pistol, and chainsword. And then there's a Vox in each squad too, melta gun and plasma gun. In the center, I'm going to attach these guys again. This is a Cadian command squad, probably to one of my sections, to give them a bit of a buff out. And there's also, which is great about Imperial Guard, is you can give orders. And I'll get into that as well. So if you have models that are leadership, like the Castellan, the Commissar, and my command squad, they can actually give orders to buff out whatever squad they're attached to. So there's run, I think, which is more movement. fixed bayonets, which is better weapon skill. And then there's some stuff for ballistic skill and some really cool stuff there. So that is my command squad. In behind, this is an old model that is just amazing. This is Preacher Uriah Jacobus. I'm going to zoom in on him. He's an old pewter metal model that I probably got back in the mid-90s. And he has his like Preacher shotgun, and this guy is also going to be attached to a unit to buff them out a bit. And he does some help more for morale. Since I'm not using that rule, it's not going to help too much there, but he does some other stuff too, so we'll have him attached to one of the squads as well. And I just hope I attach these guys to the right squads that are going to be seeing ambushes, because we don't know where the Tyranid are coming from. In behind them, I have my first Hellhound, which has a Melta Cannon and Heavy Bolter. That Melta Cannon, very, very powerful weapon, and very cheap point cost for that tank, so I love my Hellhounds. My other Hellhound over here has a Heavy Flamer and then a Melta Cannon as well, and that's going to be helping to take out those stronger Tyranid models like we saw last time, the Carnifex, the Screamer Killer, the Swarm Lord, guys like that with super high toughness. If these tanks go down, it's not going to be good. So they're cheap tanks, their armor is okay, their weapons are good, but maybe I should have brought in a Rogaldorn battle tank or something, but we'll have to see. I might requisition for that later if I start facing too many tough models that I can't take down, like against Nurgle, or, you know, I'm going to have Magnus the Red in there from Tzeentch, and I'm going to have some Greater Demons of Slaanesh down the line too, so I'm going to have to soup up my tanks. Also in here is 2 Armored Sentinels, so I wanted to vary them because you can't really change out models once they're locked in, and if you do, they lose a lot of their battle traits or battle honors that they've received. So my first Sentinel here on the left has a Plasma Cannon, so that's going to also help out with those big models, and then a Chainsword for some hand-to-hand combat, because we know the Tyranid love that. And then my other has the Malleus grenade launcher or something is what it's called, and it's going to be more for the smaller, weaker models, and then it also has a Chainsword for hand-to-hand. And then back here is actually not an Imperial Guard model. This is the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler that came in for Necromunda, but this is going to be its own standalone model, and this one is carrying that bioform within the C-Can. It is souped up too with 3 heavy stubbers, so that's going to help out. The heavy stubbers, it's pretty good. Like, it's got an okay strength, a few shots, so I'm hoping that that's going to also dwindle down some of the more kind of medium power models. And then, as you guys remember from last battle, apologies for the paint job, but there is that Tyranid bioform that was in the science facility at Utabuda that is, you know, that's in the future. This battle's already happened, but we're doing it after the fact because those Cadian are going to escort this in. So that's it for my Cadian. That's a 995 point Cadian army for Crusade. And I'm going to move over to my 1535 point Tyranid army and kind of explain how that's going to work with the battle. So here we go. All right, back behind the camera. This is my 1535 point Tyranid army. During the science facility extraction at Utabuda, I think that was almost 2,000. So this is 400 plus less, but it's still one hell of a force. And against Cadian, we're going to see how they do. So how this is going to work is at the beginning of each turn, there's going to be 6 turns in total. There's going to be a dice rolled. So 1d6. If a 1 is rolled, you're going to be seeing this group coming out, and I'll explain what that is in a sec. If a 2 is rolled, we have this coming out. If a 3 is rolled, there's those Carnifex again, and you saw what they did to an entire Intercessor squad. So Intercessors are really well armored and armed. Cadian are not. So if you thought that a 10-man Intercessor squad was torn apart by a Carnifex 2 unit brood, if a Cadian squad gets in, we'll see. A 4 is rolled, we have this coming in, and again I'll explain what's in each in a sec. A 5, and then a 6. So the rule with this too, and I've used this rule before with my my take on Last Stand at Glazier's Creek. So I usually do like an Orc oil field battle against my Raven Guard and some Imperial Guard and civilian models. So I roll a d6. Whatever rolls is what comes out on the field. If I roll that dice again, it's not going to be that same force coming out because they're already out there. So I continue to roll until the next force comes. So at the end, if there's 5 down and I keep rolling a 5, a 5, a 5, I'm going to wait till I roll a 6, or I can just bring in that last unit or whoever's left. If it's a 1, a 2, you know what I mean. The other thing I'm going to do here, usually what I do is I'll have like 6 waves, and then the final wave is the entire force that survived. In this battle, since it's going to be pretty high paced down a road convoy, I'm going to allow the Tyranid to stay out. So let's say I roll a 2 right off the bat. These guys are going to come out from whichever angle I've designated from the scatter dice. They're going to come out onto the road from behind, out front. And then if I get a hit, I'll put them wherever I think is weakest for the Cadian. They will remain, so the vehicles are going to keep driving. Maybe squad's going to hold these guys up to sacrifice to make sure that the convoy can continue going. And then let's say I roll a 1. So 2 is going to be on the field, and then a 1 rolls. These guys are going to be coming out again from whatever direction. So for my Cadian, I'm going to have to be super strategic in making sure that I have like heavy weapons that are readily available, medium weapons, as well as infantry guys to hold up. Hopefully some hand-to-hand guys that can take on some of the stronger characters, like my Castellan might be able to put up a fight against like the Tyranid Prime. Forget it against the Carnifex, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to have to set up my convoy strategically because I'm not allowed to change it throughout the battle. So I do have the chance to react, mattering on how I roll that first dice at the beginning of each turn. Hopefully the Cadian are going to get a lot of those rolls so they can start first. From my last battle, as you guys saw, I did not roll well for my allies at the start. So if this gets out of control quick, the Cadian might be going down really fast. But that's what I'm going to do. And by the end of this battle, this entire army is going to be on the field, either chasing after the vehicle, out in front of it, attacking from the side. So it's going to be just insane. Kind of reminds me of that scene from like We Were Soldiers when the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese army like pop out of the bush at the start against the French. And they just get completely ambushed. That's kind of the idea I had for this fight, so it should be cool. I also want to state, again, just like last time with the science facility, if any single model from my allied force is still alive at the end, the bioform gets moved into that campsite. So if the truck is destroyed, it just means that somebody either threw it on their back, or a unit carried it, or a sentinel put it on its roof, or a hellhound put it on its turret, and it gets to that base. So the Tyranid's goal with all of their forces is to go in and try to decimate that entire allied Cadian force. Again, in this one too, since they don't want to hurt the bioform, they're not going to be doing any ranged attacks. So it's going to be all hand-to-hand. But this is going to be a lot closer right off the bat than it was at the science facility, as these Tyranid are going to be coming right out of the bush all around the Cadian. So that is my idea for this battle. I really hope it goes well. I'm going to try to set up a roadway as strategically as I can. I have some like rubber roadway maps, and I'm going to put down that amazing aquarium terrain again too. It's going to be a lot thicker this time because it's supposed to be like dense jungle with the Tyranid rushing out of it after that convoy. So I think it's going to have some like movie-esque kind of cool stuff to it. At least I hope it does. And then before I finish this video, I'm going to go through my Crusade cards and my Crusade Force so you guys can see how that was done. And I'm going to be putting that onto the screen and just have like a voiceover going. But I will keep the camera on myself too, just in case if I want to cut back and forth so you guys don't get bored. Really hope you enjoy this one. I'm hoping to get it started up tomorrow. And this is the amazing thing about Crusade. You can do so much cool, just, I don't know, manual narrative fights. And having these guys, like, even if they die, they still get, yeah, there's my tattoo too. Yeah, Astronal term. But even if they die, they still get experience points. So, you remove a battle scar, they can continue going, get them some sweet upgraded kit, get them some more units because you get requisition points at the end of each battle as well. And maybe get some more squads out there. Oh yeah, I should show you guys too before I cut over to the sheets. I'm preparing just in case if I do. So got myself a couple more packs of Cadian shock troops. Love these new guys. They're so cool. It's just tricky because you never know if you've already done the exact same model. So I try to like be as custom as I can in regards to creating them. And I got some Cadian upgrades too to make sure that I can give them a little bit more personality and different weapons and stuff. So I'm going to be putting those in, and if I want to requisition some more squads to come in, I'll do it. Right now we have a platoon of Cadian shock troops. I have my 2 elite Kazarkin led by Commissar and Castellan. I have my 2 Sentinels and my 2 Hellhounds. So considering this is the year 40,000, this is about as close as you can get to like a Canadian infantry company that's, I don't know, mobile. Yeah, I'll move over to the Crusade cards and show you guys what that's all about. I know I'd showed them previously in the video, but this time we can kind of really delve in since you've seen the Force. All right, here we go. There we go. So I should maybe, as winter comes around here in Canada, maybe get my pipe and I can kind of give you guys some stories of old... No, I'm kidding. So I'm going to be cutting between myself and my Crusade Army that I have as an image that I can bring up on the screen. I'll try to circle some stuff or put some dashes in so you guys know what I'm talking about. So right off the bat, the Crusade Force, which is in the top left corner, is the 555th Cadian Charlie Company. So that is my unit. That's going to be my company. Might turn into a regiment size, mattering how big it gets, but that's going to be throughout my entire crusade. So these models that are in here, you can move them in and out, but you lose like battle honors that have been done, and also sometimes it messes up like just your strategy in general. So what I usually do is I'm going to use requisition points in the future to add more on. Right now, as I stated in the video, I have 5 requisition points to start. You can see that at the top right. So your requisition points are 5, and each point that gives you 200 additional supply limit points. So supply limit is on the left side underneath your Crusade Force title, and you can see that the supply limit for this one was 1,000 and my supply used was 995. So I can't go over the 1,000, and the Preacher brought me right up to that 995, so that's why I brought that model in. Back up to the top right, your battle tally is how many battles you've actually fought, and then your victories is how many victories you've had. Going down the list of unit name, so we have Castellan Cage first, his point value at 45. And then Crusade points, I stated earlier, I'm not going to use because that's what you use when you're taking on another person. So you're not like way outclassing them or way underclassed in regards to being able to actually have a battle. They can always reduce to, like if they have a massive 3,000 point force, they can bring it down to 1,000 to match you. But if they have a whole bunch of battle honors, and they've got these souped up weapons and armor and tanks and buffs, it's not going to be fair for someone that's just starting a Crusade Force. So make sure if you are playing Crusade with other people to track your Crusade points and add them up. I don't really go to stores or tournaments because I do kind of use my own rules, and I'm not 100% versed in regards to like actual tournament rules. So that's the way I do it. So going down the list, I have Castellan Cage, but he's 45 points. He has a bolt pistol and power fist, so he is pretty good at dealing hand-to-hand damage for a human. So he's just like you and me, you know, average size guy. Maybe some enhancements, like sometimes they have bionic eyes, or they might have like a bionic arm. But for him, he has a power fist, so that's going to be pretty good in hand-to-hand combat. But if he's taking on something like a Carnifex or a Screamer Killer or a Swarm Lord, or maybe even a Ravener or a Tyrant Guard, he's probably not going to stand a chance. But we'll see. You know, my lieutenant there in the last battle held up. He almost beat didn't beat them, but he almost survived 2 Carnifex attacks. So you never know what could happen. Sometimes the rolls are super lucky, and if that does happen, it's always like a cool, you know, highlight all-star moments. That's awesome. My Commissar, Minu Moon, is 30 points. He has an ability to do one order. It's okay, Homer. My dog's barking. He has the ability to do one order, but it can only be for like infantry, and I think it's only fixed bayonets and one other, so I'll get into the rules when we get that way. Command Squad, 65 points, and there are 5 models. It's led by either like a lieutenant or a captain on the Cadian side. I don't know, maybe he didn't like me talking. He's here now. But you guys saw Cadian, or Castellan Cage also has a little pug with him, so that's going to be like Homer. And I guess I'm kind of Cadian or Castellan Cage, so that'll be kind of cool. I do have a model that's not out there, but I named him Corporal Finnigan because I was a corporal in the Canadian Forces. I was also a bit heavier before, so he's kind of like a pudgy dude, so I might bring him in future battles, and if he dies, oh no, but you know, we'll try. So the next is Kasserkin, Sharkgar's own, that unit I showed you, and I went through all of their weapon loadout. I'll give you guys a shot of each of them just so you can differentiate and know which one's which. And then the Kasserkin Tigers, which had that like yellow tiger print, another Kasserkin unit. So the Kasserkin are the elite of the Cadian. So they have a better save. They have a better ballistic skill, so better shots and better weapon skill. Their toughness is the same though, so they're humans, just they've had like ultimate training, and their armor is actually pretty good. So a 4+ considering, and if they're attached to a buffer that can give them an invulnerable save, or maybe something in the future that I can give to their sergeant, it might make them, you know, withstand taking on Chaos Space Marines or Chosen. In regards to this battle, the Khazarkin can definitely hold their own against Hormagaunts. I would say they'd have a test against Gene Stealers in hand-to-hand, and then Tyranid Warriors would probably be the limit. Raveners, I don't think would... I think the Raveners would tear them apart. So we'll see, though. Again, you never know what's going to happen. So that's the Khazarkin. I have 1 through 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 section of Cadian shock troops. So their lore is that they are brought up from a very young age to be marksmen. So the Cadian are the best shots in the Astra Militarum. Their planet actually fell to Abaddon the Despoiler, who drove a like a fortress into it, a black Crusade fortress. It's a big ship, and it tore the planet in half. But there was enough Cadian out in the galaxy that they still fight on, and I think it's a great story for them, because they were like that bulwark against the Eye of Terror for a very long time. So as soon as the Black Crusades came through, it was like the Cadians every single time they were holding it. So that planet, from a young age, you have to be trained to fight right off the bat. And they're just really gritty, good shots, and they just keep fighting. So Cadia stands for sure. Those sections are going to be, again, great marksmen. They have pretty good like medium weapons, so the melta gun, the plasma gun, pretty good strength on them, so they might be able to start to take some wounds off some of the bigger models. The thing is, there's only 2 per squad, so there's a 10-man squad or a 20-man squad, and in those you can have, in a 10-man, 2 special weapons with the sergeant, and then in a 20-man squad you have 2 sergeants, 4 special weapons. So you go through all your las guns that have like a really low strength, and then you have your 2 special weapons, and you just hope that they're going to start to chip wounds away. If you don't roll well, the gun jams. Also, the ballistic skill and weapon skill of Cadians are not the same as the Space Marine. They're not like, you know, altered superhumans. So they, you know, they don't always shoot 100% accurately. But we'll get into that, and there's some buffers as well there too, like with the orders that can give them better ballistic skill to shoot, and also in future battle traits and battle honors that'll help them out with that. My 1 Sentinel with the plasma cannon, 65 points each, is going to be amazing for taking down big targets like Carnifex, Screamer Killer, Swarmlord. The thing is, I only have the 1 with the plasma cannon, and I was going to bring an auto cannon in on my other one, which is good for like light armor and troops. But instead I brought in the Melius rocket launcher, whatever it's called, which I haven't really used in a battle, so that's going to be interesting. But I wanted to have one that was a hardcore big, you know, armor penetrator, and then the other one that's more for infantry. And that's kind of based off of, like, I was an artilleryman, and when you're setting up your gun line defense, like you have, you know, a C9, which is like a general purpose machine gun, 5.56, teamed up with like a Carl G, like a Carl Gustav, which is a rocket launcher, because you want to have that ability in a foxhole to be able to do that. You team up like a C6, which is a 7.62 machine gun with something else. So I'm trying to do that kind of strategy here too. It's Warhammer, so we'll see. But that's going to play into this, and hopefully, you know, with that kind of just ability, they're going to be able to handle more enemies, because again, as I add on, I'll be able to see where they're weak and be able to strengthen them up. And then next ones, which is important, are my Hellhound tanks. So I've said this numerous times, they're 115 points each, super cheap tank, good movement, pretty good wounds, great weapon system with the melta cannon. These things used to be like incredible, almost, you know, they'd shoot 85% of the time when they had the 3+ in 9th. That's changed. And I don't have any tank commanders in here to soup them up, so they're going to be hitting on 4+, which it's okay. We'll see how it goes. But the melta cannon is a very strong weapon, and that's going to be able to also put some damage onto Carnifexes, Screamer Killers, Swarmlords in the future. You know, Magnus the Red, Angron, if he's going to be out there, a Patriarch for the Gene Stealers. I'm just looking around at my models. yeah, just the stronger guys and greater demons. You know, if I have a great unclean one coming out, that kind of stuff. At that point, I'm hoping I might have like a Rogaldorn or a Baneblade to take out those, because that's like Lords of War. But we'll see how it goes. So that's my Hellhound tanks. Again, cheap, fast, pretty good wounds, and then a great weapon system. And then I have my Preacher, 35 points, rounded out my 995 to keep me just under 1,000. Uriah Jacobus, he's got his Preacher shotgun. He's going to be yelling profanity and hymns and a whole bunch of craziness to get the Cadian fighting and take on these crazy Tyranid. And I'm hoping to get the battle set up tomorrow, get that started. It's going to be 6 turns. The D6 rolls are going to show what Tyranid are coming out. And I'm really rooting for my Cadian. I'm hoping that it's a win for my first Crusade. Last time when I did it in 9th edition, they were like 7-0. I took on a whole bunch of battles. So they took on Orcs. They took on Tyranid. They took on Khorne. They took on Nurgle, Death Guard, so they did really well. I'm going to see how this 10th edition does and how my roster is to take that on. And from there, if I lose this one brutally, I'll know where I'm going to need to build. And if I take it easily, I'll know where I need to, put those requisition points. But it's a great way to just like build up a force. It's like leveling up in a video game, and you're actually touching it with your hands and creating like cool stories and narratives. So here we go. Can't wait to show you guys again. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, Finnigan 40K. So hashtag Finnigan 40K, Finnigan 40K, hashtag Finnigan 30K. And then I'm on YouTube under Finnigan 40K. If you guys can like and subscribe, that would be amazing. Don't want any money from you. This is completely for fun. Just some good entertainment. I also have my production company, Finnigan Productions. We were built on the horror genre. So if you guys want to check that out, check out Finnigan Productions on YouTube. And we've got a ton of free stuff on there that's all horror derived. Fan film of Silent Hill on there. Yeah, so check that out. And I also did Survivor Ottawa as well. So that's another project that I've done in the past. Hosted that. We're going to be doing a season 2. But yeah, I just love this stuff. Not looking for any money. Just want you guys to watch, enjoy, maybe learn a bit. I'm going to learn too. First time doing Crusade in 10th edition. So thank you again for the patience as well. I know last time some of you were probably like, oh no, his damage is wrong. He's not doing those steps correctly. So thank you for that. And yeah, we'll learn together and build this together. And hopefully those Cadian can pull it off. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.